Albany Business Centre. We're back live from the pod. So live from the pod today is with Miss Tracey Bridges.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's been a little while since we've done this, but we're back now. So we're going to make this monthly again, at least, and get different people in each time. So Tracey, though, is back at the Business Centre, which we're really happy about. Thanks for coming back.
It's good to be back.
It's good to have you. So Tracey's doing consultancy for us now. So if you're new or existing small business, Tracey can help you. And she's in normally Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yes.
So and we've got Richard on Mondays, and Richard's in Denmark today. So every second Friday, and Jeremy's here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, and I'm here all the time, of course. So just give us a call. We are talking today about has it got legs?
Yeah.
And really that can relate to, have you got a business idea for a new business, or have you got an idea within your business, right?
Yeah, and if you've got a passion project you might want to turn into a business and see if there's any profit in it and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's kind of getting ahead of yourself before you take the plunge.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've got some questions for you today.
Cool.
Different questions from all over the place.
Let's see.
All over the place. And if you've got anything that you want to ask, it's there, the comment box, just ask it, it'll pop up on the screen and we'll be able to ask Tracey as well straight away. Signs of a good business though, what are the main signs that a business idea can be successful?
Well, I think the first thing is knowing what your product is and being really clear about it and knowing exactly what your capacities are in terms of how you can put that product forward, deliver it, or how you can provide it if you're working with other organizations or people. The more you know about your product and your capacities, the more adaptability and flexibility you have, which means you can be more resilient in times of toughness and change.
I love that. I love that. You'd be more resilient in those times.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's, plan B. There is no plan B anymore. It's more about being agile and moving with the change as opposed to trying to come up with an idea of what could happen and come up with a contingency plan for that. But then if you don't have the resources or the energy to fit in with that, it's not going to work anyway.
Yeah. And the times are tough at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. So we've been pretty bad few years.
Yeah.
In regards to business, this whole lockdowning thing, which that's gone and done and dusted, and now we've got cost of living crisis and all that sort of stuff. So now more than ever, you've got to be resilient.
Yeah.
With more ideas.
I think so, and it's also been quite tough trying to nail down customer behavior at the moment, because I think a lot of customers are changing how their relationship with the digital world and online world and what they're doing online. For instance, a lot of people will browse your website and put your product in the checkout basket, but then bail and not actually check out for whatever reason. They don't have the money or anything like that, but you still get that dopamine hit from taking yourself all the way through that buyer's journey and then pulling out at the end. So for businesses online, it's really hard to figure out where the pain point is.
I'm finding it as well that, and with some of our clients who are coming in here and small businesses, that it's that thing. It's things are sitting in checkouts in the bin or in the basket, but I'm now finding that people are going to other websites and doing the same thing with identical products, so they're comparing price and versus shipping and all that sort of stuff.
And the experience of what you have to do to get that product into the basket. Yeah. How many clicks and all of that sort of thing. So it all plays a part.
It's the good old Steve Jobs 3 clicks.
Exactly.
No more than 3 clicks, people. Remember that. It makes a big difference. 3 clicks on your website, otherwise don't bother. Alright, so that leads us nicely into learning about the market. So how important is it to learn about the market for your business idea, and what's the best way to do it?
Well, if you don't have a customer, you don't have a product, really. Yeah. Because if no one's buying it, it's obsolete. So market research can be done simply or as complex as you want it to be. You can start it off with a Google and see if anybody else is doing what you're doing or offering what you're offering. You can go and check out how much it's for or where they're getting it from. You can, and I suppose also because it's all online, it's worth looking at offshore competition. If people aren't going to get it locally, having a look at that, looking at engagement on their page through social media. Are a lot of people leaving comments or saving or or liking posts. If there's low engagement, can you figure out why? Is it because the person who's doing something similar to what you want to do is just not marketing well? Have they not got their messaging right? Or are they, marketing to the wrong target audience? So I think, and then there's also in person, even if it's just with your initial group of friends and family, seeing if they're interested in it and what they would pay for it.
Yeah, friends and family can be amazing.
They
for
can
giving you some information.
Yeah.
They can also be your worst enemy.
They can.
Yeah. Because they're like, and how many times do we get it? Somebody sort of comes in here and they go, I've got this great idea. My family says it's going to be awesome. And you look at it and you go, I've got to be the bearer of bad news here. It's just not going to work. Unless
they have a cantankerous, pessimistic uncle, because those people are the best.
Because
if they're ready to cut your idea down and you have a response every time, then that's pretty good.
Absolutely.
That's pretty good market research for you.
Yeah. So look for your cantankerous old uncle who's sitting drunk in the corner somewhere. Okay, so what makes you unique? How can a business figure out what makes it unique and important? How can they actually figure that out?
Well, I think a lot of the time it's quite organic from the person behind the business, because especially if somebody's passionate about what they're doing, a lot of who they are and what's important to them will shine through. And if they are running their business in line with their morals and their values, then that also shines through quite a bit. But otherwise, it could just be a different way of delivering it or communicating it. You could just be really into guerrilla marketing and doing it differently, really.
Yeah.
So,
not like gorillas, like as in.
Well, it depends. That would be really memorable.
It's the Capri monkey who's playing the drums.
Exactly.
So really, that's your USP or your unique selling point. Really, really important. And you touched on there as well about what makes you unique, not necessarily the product. So we were talking about the whys before. The five whys, let's drill down.
Got to go 5 whys deep.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, it's a Simon Sinek thing, and it's what is your why? Suggest you Google that one, but essentially it's why are you doing a business? Why are you doing what you do? And what is your personal reasons for doing it as well, not just because I want to make some money. Yeah,
and that's the kind of thing. When it is from that perspective, that's what fuels your resilience and adaptability and your intrinsic motivation to get through the tough times, because it is really important to you, on a deeper level, not just checking in and checking out. So,
and your customers as well nowadays want to connect a lot more. There's so much big business out there, and online is very much that. Here's a screen and you're just scrolling through. So your why is really important to connect, so you can tell your story, especially for small business it doesn't matter whether you're just within this region or any region you're in the world, that you're connecting with your local community.
Exactly, and what's around you. Some products can be really special because they're made from rainwater from the Great Southern. Or, look how the fresh air in Tasmania has become a product, especially for a lot of the Chinese travel market. So
it's crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy. Fresh air from Tasmania. Wow.
It's a huge. I think it's tinned and actually sold
to
China online.
I had no idea
it's really
about
cool.
that. There you go. So you can literally bottle air and sell it. As opposed to water from the hills in Perth. Absolutely. What financial numbers or facts should people look at to know that their business can make money?
Well, I think from the beginning, if you're going to start a business, start off with good habits, because it's much easier to start off and have it tough and push through the tough times and have good habits from the beginning, as opposed to trying to make changes and big changes a month in, a year in, 6 months in, whatever. So working out your operating expenses, what your startup costs, what it's taken you to get there, what it costs you to run your business before you sell anything, and then take all of that into account. And how much is going to cost you for your product, and then look, okay, is that base price doable, and then look at your profit margins on top of that, and include your own time in that, because if you're not paying yourself, you don't own a business, you bought yourself a trauma a lot of the time.
And there's a lot of people who buy into a business, for example, and they're actually not buying a business, they're just buying a job.
And I think working backwards is a bit easier because you can get the big chunk and then chunk it out into smaller chunks and go, okay, I know that our operating expenses a year are 10 grand or say 12 grand, and then we need to sell this much to make that. And that means every month we only have to sell 2 products to cover those costs. So if we sell 20 products,
happy days.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget about insurances and super and all that sort of thing. Don't forget to include that when you're trying to do your initial figures.
Yeah.
But you're right, working backwards, I tend to work backwards with all of my clients as well, because it's easier to take that, let's say 12 grand, but there's only a grand a month.
Yeah.
It's this much a week, it's this much a day, and you start
chunk it down.
How to eat the elephant.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I think taking into account your price increases, because cost of living is high, but that also means that your cost of sales is higher every year. So taking it into account, because if you have customers who love engaging with you and whatever you're selling, you want to be able to do it for them. So that means you have to be able to afford to do that, which means they have to pay more at the end of the year. So.
Yeah, and that's the line, isn't it, between you being really highly perceived as overpriced versus what your actual cost is. Oh, tough.
But if you play your marketing right and have that great relationship with your customer, then they should be wanting to support you, because mates rates are actually full rates.
Yeah.
Because if people want to support you, then they should support you all the way.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, how do you find and confirm who your customers will be, and how do you know if you've got the right group?
Well, trial and error. Based on marketing research, trial and error. But I think a lot of people already have some sort of customer base before they get going, especially in Albany, because a lot of people get encouraged by friends to go, oh, you should turn this into a business.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I think with social media marketing, it's quite easy to target a very specific audience segment. So you can go, okay, I think that my audience is this and this and this, and they're interested in that and that and that. And you can put a bit of money behind an ad, push your content out to them. And then if you get traction, then you're correct. That is your audience.
Yeah.
If you don't get traction, then you might need to rejig or look around. What do you think?
Oh yeah, no, I agree entirely with what you're saying. It comes down to market research. Absolutely, you've got to know your market. So back to all the way back to the first question of, what are the main signs that you have as a business idea that can be successful. So you've got that idea, but then it's how do I do and find that market? Yeah, you're absolutely right. You don't know without trying, without asking questions. Yeah. Just ask questions.
And I think it's really don't you go offline too,
Very important.
And collaborating and doing cross promotion can be really helpful in the beginning, because then you're leaning on other brands who already have customers that trust them, and then you are almost piggybacking on that trust to gain those customers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We see it a lot around here that the businesses who are based here at the business centre work together and cross promote. Just through natural attrition more than anything. It's kind of like an organic growth. So you'd have somebody who's dealing with, who's a support worker, a support person, referring their clients to somebody who's dealing with sensory products or to do pottery or something, because that's the calming that they need. And it's great to watch, but should be doing that in the wider world as well. Yeah. We're all in it together. Nobody's getting out alive. No. Knowing your competitors, why is it important to understand your competition, and how does it help your business succeed?
Well, I think the first thing to know about competitors is it's good to have competitors, because it means that there's a need for your product and there is an audience already. And it also, by having competitors, it also means that it's an innovative landscape. You can't just sit and settle. You actually have to think of ways to freshen up things or revitalize things and stay on top of it, which your customer will love, because then, they want to keep coming back for more, because it might just be a little bit different or a little bit more special. I think knowing your competitors, just knowing where they are, how they operate, and how they deliver the product is a really simple way of setting yourself up for potential innovation. If you offer in-person services, but none of your competitors offer online bookings, that's something that could set you apart and ease your customer journey quite a bit. And it also means that potentially there are collaboration options. If you need to get stuff delivered, we all know that shipping is expensive. So maybe you are in a position to join up with your competitors and actually share some of the costs that your business might incur.
That's a really good idea. I never thought about sharing with your competitors that much.
Because, you might be competing, but you're all still in the same ecosystem and working together. So I think there's a lot of space for comfortable competition.
There is. Also, it's good because I'm driven by competition. That's what drives me on a daily basis. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are about the journey, but I'm driven by I must be better than this person because of this.
Never would have sensed that.
that's an inbuilt child issue that I've had for many years. I'm too competitive, but what that allows me to do is drive me forward to come up with better ideas to try and beat my competition. But I also will work with them. And I think that's come with age more than anything. I've always found that watching your competition can be good because you can see some mistakes that they make as well, so you don't actually make those mistakes.
Learning about other people's mistakes is a lot cheaper than
absolutely. Just watching globally as well.
I think so, because there is definitely a trend and a pattern that you can pick up if you keep your eye out. And like you say, it can be fuel in the tank sometimes. So.
Absolutely. What are the best ways to test your business idea and see if it'll work before you get fully started?
Well, I think first of all is the lean canvas. That's like the best place to start, because it's just a really basic one-sided sheet where you just fill everything in, and if you can't fill in specific things, it means you've either missed a bit, can't fill it in, or you need to think a bit more about what you're going to do. So that's a great place to start. And then I suppose most viable product, looking at the different versions of your product and what is most viable first. If it's financially, if it's like, does it work with your time constraints or with your energy constraints, that sort of thing. So looking at your different options, seeing which one works best for you, and then seeing which one works best for your customer, and then looking at your figures then of what it would cost you and what your customer could pay. So that's almost like a low-hanging fruit type thing, where you map out your different products as to where they are on the tree. And
awesome. Right. I love this question. Why is it important for a business to be flexible, and how can you tell if your business needs to change direction? And this will relate to a lot of different businesses out there who are stuck in the same rut and doing the same thing and going, why aren't I making any more money?
But do you think businesses in those positions don't know which direction to be flexible in?
Yeah, I think that's the truth. And you can get very stuck by doing the same thing over and over and over and working in your business for so long that you become completely blind. In the grocery business, they call it store blindness. Obviously, where everything looks the same, does the same, and you're just wondering why nobody else is buying the extra stuff. But you move it all around and you can see it. So being flexible.
It is a really tough one, especially when you are close and in it. But I think let me just gather my thoughts for a moment there. Importance of being flexible is so that you can keep going, so that you can fit in with the current situation and meet the needs of the market and the ecosystem you're working in. Because if you are rigid, you're going to snap.
That's true. How do you think you can tell if your business needs to change?
Well, I suppose it's looking at your audience really and what the patterns of engagement have been. Are they dropping off? Are they only around tourist season, or have you got a high season or a low season, and why do you have that? If you can't figure out why, then there is definite room for change.
Absolutely. And yes, we live in a tourist region, absolutely. So you're going to have peaks and troughs, or more highs
Yeah.
but your lows shouldn't be as low as some
No.
people's are.
Mm.
Whether that's because all of a sudden you're only working 6 months of the year because, hey,
Yeah.
I'm making hay while the sun shines.
Yeah.
But what about those other times, and how much potential business are you losing?
Yeah. And I think journey mapping could be really helpful in that, because you can, if you lay it out visually, you can see the drop-off. You might be able to identify drop-off points more easily,
Yeah.
and then you can go: can we reroute the customer there, or can we reroute our process, or what are the change options there? So that might be helpful.
I like that journey mapping.
Mm.
It's a good thing. It means to do that you have to work on your business, not in your business, which I keep saying.
Yeah.
Well, I always say that you should take at least half a day a month out of your business just to look at how things are going and work on it.
Yeah, but then that comes down to setting really good reports and identifying your meaningful metrics beforehand, because if you're looking at the right data, you can spend a lot less time making the decision of whether what you're doing is working or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it comes down to, is figuring out what your meaningful metrics are, laying them out in a way that's easy for your team or you to fill in so it doesn't become a time suck.
Yeah.
And then being able to review that data and go, okay, well, now we've got data-driven decisions to make. What are we going to do about it?
And you can be very black and white. I know that, especially in small business, everything is about feeling as well, because you're so invested in what you do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've just got to go, the numbers are saying this, I can't do that.
Yeah. And I think that's what, and journey mapping is also really great, because you are actually forced to step out and look in. And when you are doing that and writing it all out or mapping it all out on a whiteboard, it's a lot easier to do that than just sitting and talking it out, because then it's so much easier to slip back in. So.
Absolutely. And we can help with that as well. So if you've got a whole heap of data and stuff and you know what you want to kind of look at, give us a call and come and sit down with us. We'll go through it. We can be the bad guy.
You can be the bad guy.
No.
I'll be the objective.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We can just call it straight, because we're not emotionally invested in your business.
It's about realistic feedback.
Yeah.
And I think also it's important to remember that not all metrics are financial. It's
right.
about how many people come to your website. Which page do they drop off on? Are you having lots of people walk into your shop but not necessarily buy?
Yeah. What's the reason for that? And I've done it. I've been out into shops and you help people in store. People are coming in, they're not buying. Why? Well, they're walking straight into a wall of products and they can't see the rest, and they feel that they're in close, so just turn around and walk out. That sort of thing could easily be happening, but you don't see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you're from the other side, where you've come in unlocked from the back, and you just don't walk in.
But if you journey map that, then you go, a customer walks in through front door, and then what's their next step, and then you go, that's what they.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's awesome, isn't it? Like looking at the business from that side.
Pretty handy.
Can you share an example of a business that looked good but failed, and of one that succeeded against the odds? Can you think of any? Or have you failed?
Oh, yes, drastically.
Yeah. Me too.
So I worked on TravelX for a while. It was my first proper startup, and we got through accelerator programs, we won scholarships for founders programs, and the whole idea was that it was built for travelers, not tourists. So you'd go to a destination and you could pinpoint your route through a town, and you could do the best beers in Budapest, or book libraries in wherever. And you could put your pin in, put a video or a photo up, and do a bit of a description. And then we would publish the tour, and we'd sell it for $1, and you'd get 50 cents, and we'd get 50 cents. So that was the idea. And first of all, we took too long, because we thought we had to spend more money to build a better app. So we had, instead of just building a really simple version of the concept, we thought we had to go bigger than we needed to. And then we took too long, we thought we needed more money than we actually did. And then we pitched it to a group of investors, and one of the investors created it before we could.
Wow.
So that was a very interesting experience, because
How do you get over that somebody you've actually pitched the idea to them and they've stolen your idea?
Well, they didn't just walk out and do it the next day.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped us feel a little bit better about it.
So pretty much.
But yeah, it happened not too long afterwards. And by that point, we were both super broke and had to, go and find other jobs. And then my business partner also fell in love with a girl in Switzerland. So then we were working from 2 different countries, and it all just kind of fizzled out a little bit from there.
Right.
But I mean, the lessons that we learned along the way were just completely amazing, and they still help me go through now. But then I suppose something that's worked that I didn't think would work. I think there are quite a few like tech businesses that a lot of people didn't work. Well, I was surprised that Airtasker didn't go as well as I thought it would.
I was, yeah.
That would be really handy. Putting up, so the whole idea was that you put a job up that you need done, and then somebody would bid on it and kind of be at your door on the day.
Yeah, I used Airtasker for a tradie.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, jeez.
Yeah, so good.
That was not a good, not good. And I think that was the problem with Airtasker. There was no checks and balances.
Yeah, and there was no quality control.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
So look, we all fail. It's okay. Failing is actually a really good thing. Most of the people who are successful in the world, and let's call them the multimillionaires, the multi-billionaires, whatever they are, they will fail.
Yeah.
You will see a person of notable financial security go bankrupt, but then bounce back to be notably rich again in a really short period of time. And that's only because they've learned from that experience and they know what it's like to have the money to be able to push forward.
And I think what people forget about anybody who's failed is they have to try first to fail.
Yeah.
So even if you aren't failing or succeeding, you're still trying.
Yeah.
And that's what counts.
Absolutely.
It's like the getting up and the keep going.
Yeah. Sometimes you can overthink something. You said yourself that things took too long with yours, or we thought we needed more money. And sometimes you've just got to go, here it is. It's not quite where I want it to be, but I need some income.
And for us, the big decision was, do we have the time to learn the skill to do it ourselves, so we don't need the money, or how can we work to earn the money to get someone else to do it for us? So we did like a really awkward mix of all of the above, which
it just all went wrong from there.
Yeah. I mean, we got a few prototypes up, which were great and super clunky, but this is there wasn't even that much of a startup scene in Perth when we started, But by the time we finished, it was pretty established.
So whilst you failed in your startup,
for
that one startup, then you actually succeeded for all of startups by helping build the ecosystem. There you go. You can thank Tracey for that one. All right. The last question I have for you today is, what common mistakes do people make when trying to see if their business will work, and how can they avoid those mistakes?
I think not being realistic with the hard facts and avoiding the hard facts. I think, and like you say, people don't take time out to work on their business. So if you don't have your mapping worked out ahead of you and you don't know where you're going and why you're going in that direction, it's very hard to see if you're going to succeed sustainably as in long term. So I think, a great idea would be to go, okay, this is our financial year, have the 12 months up on a calendar or whatever, and put your goals in for that year. And then more than just doing that budgeting, well, I suppose your financial goals and your business goals, it's how you're actually going to do that and what you need to deliver on that. And then again, how you're going to do that. So it's almost like a 4 or 5 layer kind of document. And if you don't meet it, that's fine, because then you can go, okay, contingency plan. How can we be flexible? How can we adapt? What resources do we need to draw on to do that? Is it a timely resource, a money resource, or is it an energy resource? Because so many business owners are burnt out. And that's a huge factor to take into budgeting, because if you are low on oomph, it's really hard. It's really, really hard.
And if you want to, moving down the track, if you want to sell your business, and you haven't got that passion and drive, why should somebody else buy that business?
Yeah, but also you don't want the business to just be reliant on you.
Yeah.
Because if your exit plan is to sell, then you've got to have really good data of why this person should pay that much money, why your business is worth that much, and how they're going to be able to step in and keep it going and satisfy your customers to the level that they are used to, so that they don't buy a business and lose the customers.
So always set up your business as if you're going to sell.
Yeah, well, I think if you're going to get into it, figure out how you're going to get exited. Is it for you to grow out of and sell? Is it just for you to tick along on the side? Or if there is an unwilling exit, it's also important to think about that, because a lot of people, when they lose their businesses or sell their businesses, get really surprised by the emotional upwelling of that. It's almost like a loss or a grieving situation for some people. So even if you just think about it or talk it through with a bunch of mates or your partner, that really helps at the end of it, because then it's not a total unknown.
Yeah.
So.
I think we've covered a lot.
I think so.
We have covered a lot today, and there's a lot more we could talk about for hours and hours and hours, but we were meant to do this for 10 minutes. We've been going for half an hour, and you've had essentially a console. So look, comment in the comments, obviously, if you want any advice from us, and we're more than happy to help. Give us a call. Numbers on the pages and stuff, and we'll be wherever we are. Thank you.
That's a
for this
pleasure.
today. We'll do more of these.
That sounds good. And if you are starting up a business and you're a parent re-entering, then come and play with us.
Yeah, so we've got a new program called the Parentpreneur Program. Your registrations close at the end of this month. It will be with Tracey. It's a five-week course or five course.
Sessions.
It's not over weeks, 5 sessions. Yeah, absolutely. So there's that one there. We've also got, because we were talking about journey mapping and planning and all that sort of stuff, Jeremy is doing a business planning workshop in August. But so it sounds scary as well to a lot of people, business plan. He's devised a 1-page business plan which you can just go into and have it there, so you can walk around with it, keep it in your pocket, keep it in your bag, whatever you do, and if something doesn't feel right or you need to make a decision, you can just pull it out and go, it doesn't match that or it matches that. It's brilliant.
Cool.
So you're looking for that one as well. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for today.
Happy Friday.
And happy Friday. Yeah. Enjoy. Thanks, and hope that helps.